The Giants entered this two-game set against the San Diego Padres not just with the second-best record in baseball, but with the best record in the National League West, which is saying a lot considering this division contains the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are, of course, the defending champions, the San Diego Padres, who have made the postseason in 2022 and 2024, as well as the Arizona Diamondbacks, who made the World Series in 2023 and spent big money this offseason in their own right. The Colorado Rockies also just so happen to exist in this division at this point in time. But this is by far the most stacked division in baseball. 4 teams with legitimate playoff aspirations, if not World Series ambitions. And the Giants got a taste of how difficult it is going to be to compete in the NL West as they lose to the Padres today 5-3. They lost to the Padres yesterday as well 7-4, suffering a 2-game sweep that bumps them from the top spot in their division all the way down to third, just like that, in a matter of 2 games. And both of the games here held, or rather followed, a very similar script. They almost mirrored one another. In both of these games, the Giants fell behind early. Yesterday, Logan Webb allowed 3 runs in the first inning. That puts them in an early hole against Nick Pivetta, who's been one of the best pitchers in the National League. Today, Landon Roop allows 4 runs over 4 in the third innings, again putting the Giants in a hole against one of the best pitchers in the National League, that being Michael King. In both of these games, they were able to crawl back into the game. Yesterday, it got to as close as 5-4. Today, it got to as close as 5-3. But ultimately, in both of these games, they end up losing as San Diego bullpen, which is the best bullpen in baseball, is able to do just enough to ensure that the Giants are held in check. Now, it is worth noting that, given San Diego's bullpen and their plethora of arms is the best in baseball, that it's not nothing that they've been able to make these games manageable and even dig out of some of these early holes. But despite all they've done this season with the 10 comeback wins, this is the team where you really can't afford to get into these early deficits because, as they did prove Tuesday and Wednesday, yes, they do have the ability to crawl back in games, but when you're facing a bullpen of this caliber, it's going to be really difficult to crawl out of 3-0 and 4-0 deficits. So now the Giants go back to San Francisco and have themselves a golden opportunity to face the Colorado Rockies, who, as I mentioned, are in this division. They just, as a matter of fact, like simply straight up as a matter of fact, they are in the National League West, again, with these 4 teams that have legitimate playoff aspirations. Their record, as I'm recording this, is currently 5-25. That would put them on pace to lose 135 games, which, for reference, the Chicago White Sox lost 121 games last year to set the record for most losses in a single season. The last time I checked, they ranked, which, a very rudimentary measure of where they're at, they ranked third. They had the third lowest ERA, or third worst ERA in baseball, and the third worst batting average in baseball. So they can't hit well, they can't pitch well. But as manager Bob Melvin and Elliot Ramos both told us today, anybody can beat anybody in baseball. That's not verbatim, but it was this general idea that the Giants, regardless of the quality of the opponent, cannot afford to take them lightly. Now, it is worth noting that the Padres and the Dodgers have both had opportunities to play the Rockies this season, and the Padres and the Dodgers both swept the Rockies this season. So this doesn't necessarily, again, we're not even at May yet. By the time you watch this video, it might be May, but we're not at May yet. And this isn't necessarily a must sweep situation. The Giants' ambitions of going to the playoffs are not up in smoke if they don't sweep the Rockies right here, right now. But this is a very early opportunity to stack up potentially 4 wins and improve from 19-12 to 23-12, which might be enough to get them back to first place in the National League West by the time they begin that 2-city road trip against the Chicago Cubs and the Minnesota Twins. And if we look at the probables for this upcoming series, they are slated to have Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, and Logan Webb. So depending on how you view Landon Roop and Jordan Hicks, potentially the 4 best arms in the rotation, if nothing else, their 1 through 4 starters. So this is an opportunity for the Giants to stack some wins early in the season to regain a little bit of confidence after, again, this wasn't exactly a drubbing. They didn't get walked down by the San Diego Padres, but it's going to leave a sour taste in your mouth to have a I know they got here on the Monday off day to have like a 36-hour, 48-hour business trip down to San Diego and come back to the Bay with nothing in hand. One thing to get into from today's game, as far as some of the specific elements, is Elliot Ramos, who snapped a 25-game homeless streak with this towering home run that went into the kind of, I don't know if they consider it the second deck there, the bleachers there, whatever they call it. His fourth homer of the year. He opened the season by homering 3 times in 5 games, but as I mentioned, had to endure this 25-game streak of no homers. And he told us after the game that a lot of it was on the mental side. He was focused too much on where his hands were positioned, what pitches to look for, what pitches to not look for, the way that he was set up. And what he wanted to do is enable himself to just think about one thing, that being hitting the baseball. And over the course of these last 2 games in San Diego, he has generated some of the healthiest exit velocities that he's had of the season. And yes, I know exit velocity is not the end-all be-all, but over the course of these 2 games, Ramos put 5 balls in play. 4 of them were at least 104 miles per hour, and the single that he had yesterday, which I believe exited the bat at 111.6, 111.4, was his season high in exit velocity. He now has an 8-game streak of reaching base, and considering this has been a Giants lineup that, aside from Jung-Hoo Lee and Mike Yastrzemski, and even to an extent, well, not even to an extent, it just has been Wilmer Flores, for a Giants lineup that has relied on those 3, they have yet to hit a point this season where they're getting 5, 6, even 7 guys consistently contributing all at the same time. And again, looking forward, as we're going forward into May, that's going to be one of the things where if the Giants want to consistently compete against some of the best teams, not only just in this division, but in the game, they are going to consistently need to be able to get offense up and down their lineup instead of relying on 3 or 4 guys on any given night